Your heart races, your thoughts blur, your body prepares for danger, even when nothing is chasing you. But what if I told you a tiny chemical inside your body silently controls your fear, focus, anger, and even your decisions every single day? Today, we uncovering the hidden world of stress hormones and how they quietly shape human behavior in ways you've never realized. Right now, as you're watching this, something extraordinary is happening inside your body. Tiny chemical messengers are traveling through your bloodstream, guiding your heartbeat, shaping your thoughts, influencing your emotions, and quietly deciding how you respond to the world. You cannot see them, you cannot feel them directly, but they are controlling far more of your life than you may realize. These messengers are called hormones, and among the most powerful of them all are stress hormones. Think of your body as a vast, complex city. Your brain is the control center. Your organs are workers, your muscles are engines. Your emotions are signals. Hormones are the messages sent between them. When something happens, danger, excitement, pressure, fear, your brain releases hormones to tell your body what to do next. Some hormones make you sleepy, some make you hungry, some control growth, some influence happiness, but stress hormones are different. They prepare you for survival. They tell your body, something important is happening. Get ready. Act now. They increase energy, sharpen focus, speed up your heart, tighten muscles, and change your breathing, all within seconds. This system evolved long before cities, jobs, or phones existed. It evolved for survival, for escaping predators, finding food, and protecting the people you love. Imagine being a human thousands of years ago, walking through tall grass, senses alert. Suddenly, a shadow moves. Your brain doesn't wait to think. Before you even understand what's happening, your body explodes into action. Your heart races, muscles tense, eyes widen, breathing speeds up. That instant reaction saved lives. Stress hormones turned fear into energy and danger into action. They transformed your body into a survival machine. Without them, humans would never have survived long enough to build civilizations. Stress hormones were not designed to harm us, they were designed to protect us. Now, let's bring this into modern life. Imagine you're crossing the street. Everything feels normal. Then, suddenly, a car speeds toward you. In that instant, your heart jumps, your body freezes or moves fast, your breath catches, and time feels slower. You may jump back without thinking. Only after you're safe does your brain realize that was dangerous, but your body reacted first. That wasn't a conscious decision. That was stress hormones taking control, activating your emergency system before your logical mind could even process what was happening. This happens in near accidents, sudden loud noises, falling, close calls, or unexpected danger. Your body is built to react first and think later, and that's exactly why humans survived. When your brain senses a threat, real or imagined, it sends an urgent signal deep inside your body. Within milliseconds, your adrenal glands release stress hormones into your bloodstream. Suddenly, your heart rate increases, pumping oxygen faster. Your breathing speeds up, muscles tighten, senses sharpen, thinking shifts, focusing only on survival. Pain decreases, fatigue disappears, energy spikes. This is why people can run faster in emergencies, lift heavy objects they normally can't, or react with incredible speed. Your body, in weak, it has hidden power, unlocked by stress hormones. But here's where modern life complicates things. Your brain reacts the same way to emails, bills, traffic, social pressure, and deadlines as it would to a predator. The same hormones flood your system repeatedly, over and over. The emergency system that was meant for seconds now runs all day. And over time, it begins to shape your mood, your behavior, your health, and even the way you think. Originally, stress hormones were meant for short bursts, danger, reaction, safety, calm. But today, with constant stressors, your body remains in emergency mode. What once saved lives now silently controls your daily behavior. People feel tension, anxiety, irritability, or exhaustion not because they are weak, but because their ancient survival system is being triggered far too often. Stress hormones are not your enemies. They are incredibly powerful survival tools, but in a modern world filled with non-stop pressure, they are being activated far more than nature ever intended. And this quiet, invisible chemical orchestra is shaping how humans think, feel, react, and live every single day. Imagine your body as a highly advanced alarm system. Every threat, every challenge, every moment of uncertainty triggers a cascade of chemical signals, a system finely tuned over hundreds of thousands of years. At the heart of this system are three key stress hormones, your inner alarm system, each with a unique role, yet working together seamlessly to prepare your body for survival. Cortisol. The long-term stress hormone cortisol is often called the stress hormone in everyday conversation, but its role is far more complex. Produced by the adrenal glands atop your kidneys, cortisol's job is to keep you alert over longer periods of stress. Think of it like the thermostat of your emergency system. It regulates blood sugar for energy, it maintains blood pressure, it modulates inflammation, it tells your body which resources to prioritize. In short bursts, cortisol is life-saving. It ensures that even if danger doesn't pass immediately, your body can stay alert and focused. But problems arise when cortisol stays high for too long, which is common in modern life. Chronic cortisol exposure can interfere with memory and learning, reduce immune system efficiency, affect mood and decision-making. Real-life example: consider a parent juggling work deadlines, bills, and childcare. Their cortisol levels may remain elevated all day. Even though there's no predator, the body remains in high alert mode, subtly shaping behavior, patience, and emotional responses. Cortisol is slow to act, but it sets the stage for your body's long-term readiness. Adrenaline, the instant action hormone. If cortisol, the slow-burning engine, adrenaline is the explosive spark. Also produced by the adrenal glands, adrenaline surges within seconds during sudden danger. Its effects are immediate. Heart rate skyrockets, pumping oxygen to muscles, breathing becomes rapid for instant energy, pupils dilate to see more clearly, pain sensitivity decreases, allowing rapid movement without distraction. Real-life example: a cyclist narrowly avoids a car. In a split second, adrenaline floods their system. They swerve, jump, or brake without thinking. Reflexes are faster, strength temporarily increases. Focus is laser sharp, adrenaline is short-lived. Its job is to give you the burst of energy necessary to survive immediate danger. Noradrenaline, the focus and alertness hormone. Noradrenaline, sometimes called norepinephrine, works closely with adrenaline. Its specialty is mental clarity and vigilance. When noradrenaline spikes, your brain enters a highly focused state. Distractions fade, awareness sharpens, reaction times improve. Think of it as your internal spotlight, highlighting only what matters in moments of stress. Real-life example: a student realizes they left their homework on the bus. Panic sets in. Noradrenaline rises. Their mind focuses intensely, retracing steps, recalling details, solving the problem faster than usual. Unlike adrenaline's muscle boost or cortisol's long-term preparation, noradrenaline fine-tunes your mental performance. How they work together in seconds. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. These three hormones rarely act alone. When a threat is detected, 1. Adrenaline surges instantly, preparing muscles for action. 2. Noradrenaline heightens focus, sharpening awareness of danger. 3. Cortisol follows, sustaining energy and keeping you alert longer. This coordinated response happens in seconds. Your body is literally running a full emergency operation without any conscious thought. Real-life illustration: imagine a hiker slipping near a cliff edge. Adrenaline makes them jump back instinctively. Noradrenaline helps them calculate the safest movement. Cortisol keeps their body prepared in case they need to call for help or stabilize themselves. The result: a seamless life-saving survival reaction, all orchestrated by hormones. Modern implications: the same system that kept early humans alive now responds to modern stressors. Work emails, public speaking, traffic jams, relationship conflicts. Your body reacts as if survival is at stake, releasing adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol, even when no real physical danger exists. This explains why people feel on edge or wired in everyday life. It's not a flaw. It's an evolutionary design being triggered in a world it wasn't built for. 1. Cortisol keeps you alert over time, slow but steady. 2. Adrenaline, instant action, fast and explosive. 3. Noradrenaline, mental focus, sharpens awareness. 4. Together, they create a seamless survival response in seconds. Understanding these three hormones is the first step in mastering how your body reacts to stress. Next, in Chapter 3, we'll dive into how the brain orchestrates this entire emergency system, turning chemical signals into physical reactions, thoughts, and behaviors, all in milliseconds. Inside your head, there is a small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. It may be tiny, but it is one of the most powerful parts of your brain when it comes to stress and fear. The amygdala acts as your brain's early warning system. It constantly scans the world for threats, even ones you may not consciously notice. A sudden movement in your peripheral vision, a loud noise, the tension in someone's voice. Your amygdala senses danger before your mind even understands it. It is fast, instinctual, and relentless. This is why sometimes you feel fear or anxiety before you even know what's happening. The amygdala doesn't act alone. It communicates directly with another part of the brain called the hypothalamus, which functions like the body's central command center for stress. The hypothalamus receives signals from the amygdala and instantly decides what the body needs to do. Should it prepare for fight, flight, or freeze? Should it release hormones? Should it increase your heart rate? Within milliseconds, the hypothalamus sends chemical messages to your adrenal glands, located on top of your kidneys, instructing them to release stress hormones like adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. The result of this communication is astonishing. Your brain and body are in constant conversation, a silent, high-speed network running below your awareness. Nerve signals travel down your spinal cord. Hormones surge into your bloodstream. Your heart pumps faster, muscles tense, breathing accelerates, pupils dilate. You feel energy, alertness, and a rush of adrenaline. This is why stress feels so physical. It is literally your brain commanding your body to prepare for survival, triggering changes that are designed to be felt in every nerve, every muscle, every cell. Even something as simple as a looming deadline or an unexpected confrontation triggers this ancient system. Your amygdala detects a threat, whether it is real or perceived, and signals the hypothalamus. Within seconds, your adrenal glands release hormones, your heart races, and your body is ready to act. Pain may dull, strength may increase, and your senses heighten. This explains why moments of sudden fear can feel overwhelmingly real and intensely physical, even if the danger is just psychological or modern in nature. Over time, repeated activation of this system can make you hyper-aware, anxious, or tense, even when there is no immediate threat. That's because your brain and body remember the patterns. They treat modern stress like the life or death situations humans faced for millennia. And this is precisely why understanding how the brain's stress command center works is so important. When you know how the amygdala, hypothalamus, and adrenal glands interact, you begin to see that every racing heartbeat, every tense muscle, and every burst of adrenaline is not random. It is a sophisticated, ancient survival system, hardwired into your biology to keep you alive. This intricate brain-body communication explains why stress is not just a mental experience, it is a full-body experience. Your mind and body are inseparable in moments of fear or pressure. Every thought, every reaction, Every emotion is influenced by this invisible command center, operating silently yet powerfully, shaping human behavior in ways most people never realize. To understand why humans experience stress the way we do today, we have to travel back tens of thousands of years, to a world far removed from our modern cities, offices, and digital devices. Imagine yourself in the savannah, long before cars, phones, or deadlines existed. The air is thick with the scents of grass and earth. Every sound, every movement could mean life or death. A rustle in the bushes might be a predator. A chance to escape could mean survival. A sudden roar could decide whether you live or die. In those times, stress was not a nuisance. It was a critical survival tool. The human body and brain evolved to respond instantly to danger. This is where the classic stress responses we know as fight, flight, and freeze come into play. If confronted by a predator, one option was to fight, using every ounce of strength to defend yourself or your group. Another was to flee, running as fast and as far as possible to safety. And sometimes, the best choice was to freeze, become invisible, blend with the environment, and hope the danger passes. These responses were automatic, wired into the brain over countless generations, and each one was orchestrated by the body's stress hormones. Adrenaline surged, cortisol prepared the body for sustained alertness, and noradrenaline sharpened the mind's focus. This system worked because it had to. Humans who reacted too slowly didn't survive. Those whose brains and bodies were too slow to release the right chemicals, or whose reactions were too weak, were unlikely to pass on their genes. Over millennia, natural selection perfected the stress response, creating an internal alarm system capable of responding instantly to threats, often before conscious thought could even kick in. Fast forward to the modern world, the threats we face today are rarely life or death in the literal sense. A missed email, a critical deadline, a traffic jam, a tense conversation, these are the dangers of modern life. And yet, the body doesn't know the difference. The amygdala still interprets these events as potential threats. The hypothalamus still signals the adrenal glands to release adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. The heart races, muscles tense, breathing quickens, focus narrows. The body switches into survival mode, even though there is no predator chasing you across the plains. Imagine a modern office worker staring at a looming deadline. Their brain interprets this pressure as a threat. Adrenaline floods the system, cortisol keeps them on edge. Noradrenaline sharpens their focus. They may feel the same physical sensations as someone narrowly escaping danger in the wild: racing heart, tense muscles, shallow breathing, heightened alertness. The difference is subtle, but critical. The threat is psychological, not physical. There's nowhere to run, no predator to fight. The system that evolved to save lives now produces tension, anxiety, and stress-related fatigue. But this is not a failure of evolution, it is the brilliance of it. The stress response was never meant to distinguish between a literal predator and a modern challenge. It simply reacts to cues that suggest urgency or danger. And in many ways, it works. Deadlines get met, meetings get handled, and critical decisions get made under pressure. The problem arises when these responses are triggered continuously without a natural release. Chronic stress can begin to reshape the brain, altering memory, emotional regulation, and decision-making, all because the same system that once protected humans from lions and storms is now responding to emails and traffic lights. Understanding this evolutionary context is crucial. It explains why stress can feel overwhelming, why it can be so physical, and why the body reacts before the mind. It also sheds light on why techniques like mindful breathing, physical exercise, and strategic rest are so effective. They give the ancient stress system the release it never got in a modern environment. Without that release, our internal alarm system runs continuously, shaping our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in ways that we often don't notice. Humans develop stress responses not to make life difficult, but to make life survivable. And even in a world without predators, that ancient wiring remains, guiding every heartbeat, every rush of energy, every moment of fear or focus. The key lies not in eliminating stress entirely, but in understanding it, managing it, and using it as the powerful tool it was always meant to be. Imagine a moment when everything in your life depends on a single split-second decision. Your heart races, your muscles tighten, your mind narrows to focus on only what matters. In that instant, stress hormones flood your system, transforming your body into something extraordinary, almost superhuman. This is when stress hormones save lives. Adrenaline surges through the bloodstream, pumping oxygen to your muscles faster than usual. Noradrenaline sharpens your focus, filtering out distractions and allowing your mind to process crucial details with astonishing clarity. Cortisol ensures your body has the energy to maintain this heightened state over several minutes, keeping you alert even after the initial shock passes. Together, these hormones orchestrate a symphony of survival, turning ordinary humans into extraordinary responders. Consider the phenomenon often referred to as superhuman strength. There are countless reports of people lifting cars to save loved ones trapped underneath or dragging heavy objects to safety during emergencies. While it seems almost mythical, science explains it. Under extreme stress, adrenaline triggers a temporary spike in muscle power. Pain perception diminishes, allowing the body to push beyond its usual limits. Strength that might be impossible under normal circumstances suddenly becomes achievable, giving individuals the ability to act in ways they never imagined. Athletes, too, experience this in more controlled environments. During high-stakes competitions, the body's stress response can enhance performance. Sprinters explode off the blocks with extraordinary speed. Basketball players make impossible shots under pressure. Rock climbers cling to the edge of cliffs, muscles taut, heart racing, senses sharpened. In all of these cases, stress hormones are not just a reaction, they are tools, finely tuned instruments that the body has learned to wield in moments of intense demand. Real-life rescue stories illustrate this perfectly. Firefighters rushing into burning buildings rely on adrenaline to overcome fear and uncertainty. Paramedics navigating chaotic accident scenes depend on noradrenaline to remain hyper-aware and make split-second decisions that save lives. Even everyday people, faced with sudden emergencies, can experience bursts of superhuman capability. A parent pulling a child from a car in less moments before impact, or a bystander preventing a potential tragedy, driven purely by the body's stress response. The science behind this is fascinating. When adrenaline binds to receptors in your muscles, it increases the number of calcium ions available for contraction, which directly enhances muscle strength. Simultaneously, the brain releases endorphins, natural painkillers that reduce discomfort and allow for extraordinary effort without immediate sensation of strain. Meanwhile, cortisol keeps glucose levels elevated, ensuring the brain and muscles have fuel to function at peak capacity. This combination of chemical signals produces the remarkable moments we witness in emergencies, where ordinary humans perform extraordinary feats. But the power of stress hormones extends beyond physical capabilities. Focus becomes laser sharp, cognitive processes narrow to essentials, filtering out irrelevant information. In life or death scenarios, this heightened focus can be the difference between survival and disaster. The brain becomes a precision instrument, guided by hormonal signals that evolve to maximize performance under pressure. Yet these superhuman moments are fleeting. Once the immediate threat passes, the body gradually returns to baseline. Heart rate slows, muscles relax, and breathing steadies. Adrenaline fades, cortisol levels normalize, and the heightened state of alertness dissolves. But the impact of these moments lingers, not just physically, but psychologically. They reinforce the brain's understanding that it is capable of responding under pressure, that fear can be transformed into action, and that survival instincts, when properly harnessed, are a remarkable gift. Modern life offers fewer true emergencies than the world of our ancestors, yet our bodies retain the ability to respond. Understanding the mechanisms behind these stress responses provides insight into human potential. It explains why athletes perform at their best under pressure, why first responders act with courage and precision, and why ordinary people sometimes achieve feats that seem impossible. Stress hormones are not simply chemicals, they are the body's natural instruments of survival, focus, and extraordinary human capability. In this way, stress hormones are both protectors and enablers. They turn fear into fuel, urgency into action, and danger into opportunity. The same system that once kept humans alive in the wild now continues to shape behavior, performance, and resilience in the modern world. Knowing how these hormones operate not only deepens our understanding of human biology, but also opens the door to mastering our own responses, allowing us to use stress as a tool rather than a burden. Stress is not always helpful. While short bursts of stress hormones can save lives and sharpen performance, prolonged exposure can quietly begin to harm the very body and brain they evolved to protect. This is the story of chronic stress, the type that lingers day after day, week after week, without relief. Unlike the emergency spikes of adrenaline that once protected early humans from predators, chronic stress keeps the body in a continuous state of alert, as if danger were never ending. When cortisol, adrenaline, and noradrenaline are repeatedly released without the opportunity for recovery, they begin to wear down the body's systems. The effects are subtle at first. Memory may falter, making it harder to recall names, dates, or details that once felt effortless. Sleep becomes shallow or restless, leaving the mind foggy and the body fatigued. Digestion slows, appetite fluctuates, and the immune system weakens, making even minor illnesses more frequent. What once was a short-lived survival mechanism now becomes a silent drain on health. Mood changes are also common. People may feel irritable, anxious, or emotionally exhausted. The brain's reward circuits, normally activated by pleasure or accomplishment, are dulled, leaving individuals feeling flat, unmotivated, or disconnected. Burnout begins to creep in, a cumulative effect of constant hormonal pressure. It is not just a psychological state, it is a biological reality. Stress hormones reshape brain circuits over time, strengthening fear and threat responses while weakening circuits responsible for calm, memory, and executive decision-making. Consider a real-life example. An office worker facing endless deadlines. Morning brings an urgent email, triggering a surge of cortisol. A sudden request from a manager releases adrenaline. By noon, noradrenaline keeps the mind hyper-focused, scanning for errors and risks. Lunch is skipped, coffee replaces proper meals, and the body remains on high alert. Evening arrives, but the work never ends. Notifications, late-night emails, and worries about performance prolong the stress response. Sleep is shallow, muscles remain tense, anxiety lingers. Over weeks and months, this worker experiences fatigue, irritability, and the subtle erosion of memory and emotional resilience. This is not an isolated story. It is the reality of millions living in modern, high-pressure environments. Science confirms the consequences. Chronic cortisol exposure can shrink the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory and learning, making it harder to retain and recall information. It can increase activity in the amygdala, heightening fear and anxiety. Cortisol also disrupts sleep cycles, leaving the body with less opportunity to repair itself. Over time, these effects compound, creating a feedback loop where stress begets more stress, physically, mentally, and emotionally. The insidious nature of chronic stress lies in its invisibility. Unlike the immediate rush of adrenaline during a sudden threat, prolonged stress slowly rewires the brain and body. Energy feels depleted, mood swings appear without clear cause, and motivation diminishes. The body remains in emergency mode, even in situations that do not require survival instincts. Every heartbeat, every tense muscle, every shallow breath is a reminder that the ancient alarm system, once a protector, is now overactive in the modern world. Understanding this is the first step toward breaking the cycle, recognizing the physical, emotional, and cognitive signs of chronic stress empowers individuals to take action through rest, recovery, mindful breathing, exercise, or structured routines that give the body a chance to return to baseline. Without intervention, the long-term effects can manifest in serious health problems, including cardiovascular disease, digestive disorders, anxiety, and depression. Stress hormones, once heroes of human survival, can become silent saboteurs if their power is not balanced. Yet even in the midst of chronic stress, the system that evolved to protect us still holds potential. With awareness, recovery, and strategy, the same mechanisms that can harm can also be harnessed to rebuild resilience, sharpen focus, and restore balance. The key lies in understanding that the body's alarm system, while ancient and powerful, is not meant to run constantly. It is meant to act, then rest, allowing humans to survive, thrive, and ultimately reclaim control over their biology. Stress does not only change the body, it changes the emotional world inside a person. It can turn calm people into angry ones, confident people into fearful ones, and strong people into tearful ones, often without them understanding why. These emotional shifts are not weakness, they are biology in action. They are the result of stress hormones quietly influencing the emotional centers of the brain. When stress hormones flood the bloodstream, they don't only prepare muscles for action, they also directly affect areas of the brain responsible for emotion, impulse control, and reasoning. The emotional brain becomes louder, the logical brain becomes quieter. This is why during stress, people often react emotionally before thinking clearly. Anger flares faster, fear feels stronger, sadness comes more easily. Small problems suddenly feel overwhelming. Imagine a simple situation. A person comes home after a long, stressful day at work. Their cortisol has been elevated for hours, adrenaline has surged multiple times. Their nervous system is already exhausted and on edge. Then a small disagreement happens, maybe about chores, money, or something minor. Under normal conditions, it might be handled calmly. But under stress, the emotional brain takes over. Voices rise, words become sharp, tears may appear, anger erupts. What seems like an overreaction is actually the brain operating under hormonal pressure. Stress hormones heighten emotional sensitivity. They make the brain interpret situations as more threatening than they really are. A neutral comment can sound like criticism. A delay can feel like rejection. A mistake can feel like failure. The body is in survival mode, and survival mode is not designed for patience, empathy, or calm communication. It is designed for quick reactions. This is why fear becomes stronger under stress. The brain becomes hyper-alert, scanning for danger even when none exists. Thoughts race toward worst-case scenarios. The heart pounds at small triggers. Anxiety rises easily. Stress hormones keep the nervous system on edge, as if something bad is always about to happen. This is not imagination. It is the brain being chemically pushed into high alert mode. Crying under stress also has a biological explanation. When emotional pressure builds and the nervous system becomes overwhelmed, the body sometimes releases tension through tears. Crying activates calming pathways in the brain and helps regulate intense emotional arousal. It is not weakness, it is the body's natural release valve. In relationships, stress hormones can quietly create conflict even between people who deeply care about each other. Partners may become less patient, more reactive, and more sensitive to tone and words. Misunderstandings grow faster. Arguments escalate quicker. Emotional distance may appear. This is not always about love fading. It is often about nervous systems under constant stress. When both people are biologically tense, communication becomes harder and emotional reactions become stronger. Stress hormones also influence behavior in subtle ways. They can push people toward impulsive decisions, emotional eating, withdrawal, anger, or avoidance. They can reduce motivation and increase frustration. They can make people more defensive and less open to feedback. Under stress, the brain prioritizes safety over connection, protection over understanding, and reaction over reflection. Over time, repeated emotional stress responses can form habits. The brain learns to react quickly with fear or anger. Emotional patterns become automatic. This is why some people feel constantly anxious, easily irritated, or emotionally drained. Their stress system has been activated so often that it has become the brain's default mode. But the powerful truth is this: once people understand that emotions under stress are largely biological, they gain the ability to change how they respond. Awareness slows reactions. Breathing calms the nervous system. Pausing gives the thinking brain time to re-engage. Emotional control becomes possible not by suppressing feelings, but by regulating the stress response behind them. Stress hormones do not make humans broken, they make humans responsive to pressure. But when pressure becomes constant, emotions become intense. Understanding this connection between hormones and emotions allows people to develop compassion for themselves and others, and For most of human history, stress was experienced, but not understood. People felt fear, pressure, exhaustion, and emotional overwhelm, yet no one knew what was happening inside the body. That changed in the 20th century, when science finally began uncovering the hidden biological machinery behind stress. One of the first researchers to unlock this mystery was Hans Selye. While studying illness in patients, he noticed something surprising. No matter what kind of pressure the body faced, infection, cold, injury, emotional shock, the body reacted in almost the same biological way. Heart rate increased, hormones surged, energy shifted toward survival. Selye realized that stress was not just a feeling. It was a physical response built into human biology. He described it as a universal reaction, the body entering a state of emergency whenever it sensed demand or danger. This discovery changed medicine and psychology forever. Stress was no longer seen as weakness. It was understood as a powerful physiological process designed for survival. But as science advanced, researchers began asking a deeper question: what happens when this emergency system never turns off? Modern neuroscience, especially research coming from institutions like Harvard Medical School, revealed something both fascinating and alarming. Long-term exposure to stress hormones, especially cortisol, does not just affect how we feel, it physically reshapes the brain. Brain scans showed that chronic stress can shrink the hippocampus, the region responsible for memory, learning, and emotional balance. This explains why people under long-term stress often forget things easily, struggle to concentrate, and feel mentally exhausted. At the same time, stress strengthens the amygdala, the brain's fear center, making people more sensitive to threats, more anxious, and quicker to react emotionally. In simple terms, stress rewires the brain for survival, not for calm thinking. The longer stress hormones remain elevated, the more the brain becomes specialized in detecting danger instead of processing information peacefully. This is why someone under chronic stress may feel constantly on edge, even in safe situations. The brain has been trained, chemically, to expect problems. Emotional control also shifts. The prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and rational thought, becomes less effective under long-term stress. This makes emotional reaction stronger and logical thinking weaker. People may snap quickly, feel overwhelmed easily, or struggle to regulate their mood. It is not lack of willpower, it is stress hormones altering brain communication. Perhaps the most surprising discovery was that stress can become addictive. When adrenaline and cortisol surge, they create a powerful burst of energy and alertness. In short periods, this can feel productive, even exciting. Some people unconsciously begin chasing this state, taking on more pressure, working nonstop, or living in constant urgency. The brain starts associating stress with action, focus, and accomplishment. Over time, the nervous system adapts to high stress as its normal state. When calm moments arrive, the brain may feel restless or uncomfortable. Silence feels strange. Relaxation feels unfamiliar. The body has become used to chemical stimulation. This is why some people feel anxious when things slow down, or bored without constant pressure. Their stress system has been conditioned to stay activated. Science now understands that stress is not just something that happens to us, it is something that can reshape who we become. It can influence memory, emotions, habits, relationships, and long-term health. But this knowledge also brings hope, because what the brain changes under stress, it can also change through recovery, awareness, and regulation. The same brain that adapts to pressure can relearn calm. Understanding stress at the biological level removes shame and replaces it with clarity. People are not weak for feeling overwhelmed. They are experiencing a nervous system that evolved to protect them, now overstimulated by modern life. And once we understand how stress rewires the brain, we gain the power to reverse its effects, rebuild emotional balance, and regain control over how we think, feel, and live. Modern life is comfortable in ways our ancestors could never imagine. We have shelter, food, technology, and safety. Yet paradoxically, humans today are experiencing some of the highest levels of stress in history. Not because of predators or physical danger, but because of constant psychological pressure. The world we live in has quietly become a factory for stress hormones, triggering the body's ancient survival system from morning until night. One of the most powerful drivers of modern stress is social pressure, especially through social media. Every scroll exposes people to carefully edited lives, achievements, relationships, and success stories. The brain compares automatically. Am I doing enough? Am I successful enough? Am I attractive enough? Am I falling behind? These thoughts trigger subtle stress responses. Cortisol rises, the nervous system tightens. Even without realizing it, the body interprets comparison as threat, a threat to status, belonging, and self-worth. Over time, this constant comparison keeps stress hormones flowing steadily through the bloodstream. Financial pressure is another relentless trigger. Bills, rent, healthcare, education, job security. These worries live in the background of many people's minds every day. Unlike physical danger, financial stress doesn't arrive and leave quickly, it lingers. The brain repeatedly replays worst-case scenarios. What if I lose my job? What if I can't pay this bill? What if something unexpected happens? Each worrying activates the same survival system. The heart tightens, muscles tense, cortisol remains elevated. The body stays in emergency mode, not for minutes, but for months or even years. Then there are constant notifications, buzzing phones, emails, messages, breaking news alerts, reminders, and endless digital demands for attention. Every sound triggers a small stress response. The brain shifts focus, the nervous system activates. Even when the content is harmless, the sudden interruption signals urgency. Over time, this creates a state of continuous alertness. The body never fully settles, the mind never truly rests. Silence becomes rare, and calm becomes unfamiliar. Our ancestors experienced stress in waves, intense moments followed by long periods of rest. After escaping danger, their bodies relaxed. Hormone levels dropped, the nervous system reset. But modern humans rarely experience that full reset. Stressors overlap continuously. Work follows us home through phones. News follows us to bed. Worries wake us in the morning. The stress response never fully turns off. This constant activation explains why so many people feel exhausted despite not doing physical labor. Their bodies are burning energy internally, maintaining high alertness, elevated heart rate, tense muscles, and racing thoughts. It also explains why sleep problems are so common. When cortisol remains high, the brain struggles to enter deep, restorative sleep. Even when the body rests, the nervous system remains alert. Modern life also blurs the line between real danger and perceived pressure. The brain reacts strongly to social rejection, failure, embarrassment, or uncertainty because in early human history, losing social belonging could mean death. Today, a negative comment, job feedback, or financial setback triggers the same ancient fear circuits. Stress hormones rise as if survival is at risk. Over time, the body adapts to this constant stimulation. High stress becomes normal. Calm feels strange. Some people feel restless when nothing is happening. Others feel anxious without constant activity. The nervous system has learned to live in emergency mode. This is why modern stress feels different from past danger. It is quieter, longer, and more exhausting. It doesn't arrive with a roar like a predator. It creeps in through screens, schedules, responsibilities, and expectations. The result is a generation living in continuous chemical tension. Not because life is worse, but because the human body evolved for a world that no longer exists. Understanding this doesn't mean abandoning modern life. It means recognizing how deeply it affects our biology. Once people realize that constant stress is not weakness, but a mismatch between ancient survival systems and modern environments, they can begin creating moments of recovery, pauses that allow the nervous system to calm and hormones to reset. Because without rest, the stress factory never shuts down, and when it never shuts down, it quietly shapes behavior, emotions, health, and happiness every single day. Even though stress hormones can feel overwhelming, the human body was never designed to stay in survival mode forever. Nature built us with a powerful recovery system, one that constantly works in the background to restore balance, lower cortisol, and bring the nervous system back into calm. The problem is not that stress exists. The problem is that modern life rarely allows the body to fully turn stress off. Let's start with breathing, the fastest biological switch between panic and peace. When danger appears, breathing automatically becomes fast and shallow. This pulls more oxygen in quickly, preparing muscles for action. But it also keeps cortisol flowing. Now here's the incredible part. When you slow your breathing on purpose, long inhale, slow exhale, you directly talk to your brain. You're telling it, there is no emergency anymore. Within moments, the heart rate begins to slow. Blood pressure drops, muscles soften, stress hormones stop being released at high levels. This isn't meditation magic, it's pure biology. Scientists studying stress recovery at places like Harvard Medical School found that controlled breathing activates the body's relaxation system, the same system responsible for healing, digestion, and emotional regulation. Your breath is literally a remote control for your stress response. Now let's talk about movement, something humans evolved doing all day. When early humans felt fear, they ran, fought, climbed, or moved fast. After danger passed, their bodies naturally burned off adrenaline and cortisol through physical activity. Today, we feel stress, but we sit with it. Emails stress us, bills stress us, traffic stresses us. But our bodies never get the movement they expect after danger. Walking changes that. A simple walk slowly drains excess stress hormones from the bloodstream. Muscles release stored tension. The brain receives more oxygen and calming chemicals. This is why many people feel mentally refreshed after even 10 minutes of movement. It's not distraction, it's hormone regulation. And when that movement happens in natural spaces, open air, sunlight, greenery, stress reduction becomes even faster. The brain interprets these environments as safety zones. In nature, the nervous system finally feels allowed to relax. Now comes the most powerful reset tool of all, sleep. Sleep is when the body repairs emotional overload. During deep sleep, cortisol levels fall back into healthy rhythm. The brain organizes memories, releases emotional pressure, and restores balance to stress circuits. Think of sleep as a full system reboot. But when stress disrupts sleep, the reboot never finishes. Cortisol remains high the next day. Energy drops, mood worsens, focus weakens, which leads to more stress and even worse sleep. This vicious cycle is one of the main reasons modern anxiety feels so constant. Good sleep doesn't just make you feel rested, it directly controls stress hormones. Then there are the small moments most people underestimate. Short pauses during the day, even 30 seconds of silence, give the nervous system a break. Stretching relaxes muscles that silently hold stress. Laughter releases calming brain chemicals that counter cortisol. Turning off notifications reduces constant danger signaling to the brain. Even slow, mindful eating tells the body it is safe enough to digest instead of fight. Each of these tiny actions sends a powerful biological message. Right now, I am safe. And every time your body receives that message, stress hormones begin to drop. Over time, something amazing happens. The brain becomes less reactive. Stress no longer spikes as fast. Calm lasts longer. Emotional control improves. The nervous system slowly retrains itself toward balance. Not through force, not through willpower, but through consistent signals of safety. This is why people who build calming habits don't just feel better. Their biology actually changes. Lower baseline cortisol, stronger emotional stability, better focus, deeper sleep. Stress doesn't disappear from life, but it stops controlling life. The body already knows how to heal from pressure. It has known for thousands of years. In today's world, we just have to give it permission to do what it was designed to do. For most of human history, stress was something that happened to us. A predator appeared, a storm arrived, a threat demanded action. But today, something incredible has changed. We can actually train the brain to experience stress differently, not as danger, but as energy, not as fear, but as focus. This ability is what separates people who break under pressure from people who rise because of it. It all begins with something psychologists call reframing. When stress hormones rise, the body feels heat, fast heartbeat, tight muscles, intense alertness. Most people instantly label these sensations as anxiety or fear. But biologically, these feelings are the body preparing for performance. The same physical response happens before a job interview, a public speech, a competition, or a life-changing decision. The difference is interpretation. When the brain labels stress as threat, fear increases. When the brain labels stress as readiness, confidence rises. Studies show that people who view stress as helpful perform better, think clearer, and recover faster. Their cortisol still rises, but it works for them instead of against them. This is why elite performers don't try to calm all stress away. They learn to ride it. Many world-class athletes openly talk about using nervous energy as fuel. Before championship moments, hearts race, hands sweat, focus sharpens. Instead of fighting those sensations, they welcome them. They recognize the feeling as the body switching into peak performance mode. Athletes like Michael Jordan often describe pressure as a privilege, a signal that something important was happening. Tennis champion Serena Williams spoke about using nerves to sharpen concentration rather than letting them become fear. Their bodies felt stress, but their brains translated it as power. This mental shift changes how hormones affect the body. Instead of overwhelming the system, stress hormones increase focus, reaction speed, and memory. Stress becomes a performance enhancer, not a threat. Now let us talk about emotional resilience, the brain's ability to recover quickly from pressure. Resilient people are not stress-free. They feel pressure just like everyone else. The difference is how fast they return to balance. When something stressful happens, a mistake, criticism, failure, or surprise, their nervous system activates. But instead of staying stuck in stress mode for hours or days, their brain calms itself faster. This skill can be trained. One powerful method is emotional awareness. When people notice stress rising, racing heart, tense shoulders, rapid thoughts, and simply acknowledge it instead of resisting it, the stress response shortens. The brain feels understood instead of threatened. Another technique is controlled exposure. Gradually facing stressful situations, speaking up in meetings, challenging yourself, stepping into discomfort, teaches the nervous system that stress does not always mean danger. Over time, the brain becomes less reactive. Confidence grows, stress responses soften. This is how courage is biologically built, not by avoiding pressure, but by safely meeting it again and again. There's also a powerful connection between meaning and stress. When stress is connected to purpose, helping family, achieving goals, protecting something important, the brain processes it differently. Research shows that purposeful stress releases hormones that support growth, learning, and resilience rather than damage. This is why stress during meaningful work feels exhausting but fulfilling, while meaningless stress feels crushing. Same hormones, different brain interpretation. Over time, people who train their mindset around stress experience something incredible. Their baseline anxiety lowers, they recover faster from challenges. They feel more in control during chaos. They no longer fear pressure, they expect it. And when pressure comes, they perform better instead of panicking. Stress doesn't disappear, but it transforms. It becomes the energy that sharpens focus, the signal that the body is ready, the fuel that pushes growth. When the brain is trained properly, stress stops being an enemy. It becomes an ally, a powerful one. For thousands of years, humans experienced stress without truly understanding it. People felt fear, pressure, exhaustion, and emotional overload, but had no idea what was happening inside the brain and body. Today, that is changing faster than ever before. Modern science is now able to see stress at the level of hormones, neurons, and brain circuits, and this knowledge is opening a new era of healing. Researchers at places like Stanford University School of Medicine are mapping how stress reshapes neural pathways over time, showing exactly how chronic cortisol alters memory, emotional control, and decision-making. At the same time, large-scale studies supported by the National Institutes of Health are exploring how personalized treatments can help regulate stress responses based on each person's biology. Instead of one-size-fits-all solutions, the future of stress care is becoming deeply individual. Some people's nervous systems react strongly to emotional pressure, others respond more to physical exhaustion. Some hold stress in the body, others in racing thoughts. Soon, doctors may be able to measure hormone patterns and brain activity to design custom stress recovery plans. From sleep strategies to movement routines to mental training techniques, even therapies are evolving. New approaches are helping the brain retrain its fear circuits, calming overactive stress responses rather than simply masking symptoms. Scientists are discovering that the brain remains adaptable throughout life, meaning stress damage is not permanent. The nervous system can heal, pathways can reset, balance can return. This is one of the most hopeful discoveries in modern neuroscience. Stress is not a life sentence. It is a system that can be guided, softened, and strengthened. But beyond technology and treatment, there is a deeper truth that matters most. Stress will always be part of being human. It helped our ancestors survive. It pushes us to grow. It signals what matters. The goal was never to eliminate stress. The goal is to master it. When you understand what stress hormones are doing inside your body, fear loses much of its power. That racing heart becomes readiness. That pressure becomes energy. That tension becomes a signal, not a threat. Your body is not broken when you feel stressed. It is trying to protect you. And when you work with it instead of against it, something incredible happens. You become calmer under pressure, clearer in chaos, stronger in challenges. You stop reacting blindly and start responding wisely. The future of stress science is not just about medicine, it's about awareness. It's about teaching people how their own biology works. Because once you understand your stress system, you gain control over it. Not perfect control, but powerful influence, and that influence changes everything, from mental health to relationships to performance to daily peace. So the next time your heart races, the next time pressure rises, the next time stress shows up in your body, remember this: it's not your enemy. It's your survival system asking for guidance, and now, you finally know how to give it.
If this documentary helped you understand fear a little better,
to consider subscribing for more psychology-based explorations of human behavior. You can also share your thoughts or experiences in the comments.
and sharing one's perspective may help someone else feel less alone.